is September 25th of 2024, and the current time is 7:23 p.m. Now, the question and answer portion of the local public hearing just ended. If you had questions, I hope that you were able to get those questions answered. The Missouri Public Service Commission has set aside this time today for a local public hearing in a case file number WR-2024-0104. It's a general captioned as, in the matter of the request of Liberty Utilities, Missouri Water LLC, doing business as Liberty for authority to implement a general rate increase for water and wastewater service provided in its Missouri service areas. My name's John Clark. I'm the regulatory law judge overseeing this local public hearing today. The Missouri Public Service Commission regulates the rates charged by investor-owned utility companies in Missouri to ensure that those rates are just and reasonable. The Commission also regulates the quality of service and the safety of operations of investor-owned utilities. Now, the Commission is made up of 5 commissioners, the Commission's chair, Kayla Hahn, and Commissioners Maida Coleman, Jason Holzman, Glenn Kolkmeyer, and John Mitchell. The commissioners are appointed by the governor to a fixed term and confirmed by the Senate. The commissioners employ a staff of engineers, accountants, attorneys, financial analysts, and other specialists in the area of utility regulation. With me today, to my left, is Commissioner John Mitchell, participating by WebEx, and also listening to this hearing are the chair, Kayla Hahn, and Commissioners Maida Coleman and Jason Holzman. The court reporter to my right is taking down everything that's said so that the commission can review it later if they want to, and any commissioners who are unable to attend will be able to review it as well. Commissioner Mitchell, would you like to make an opening remark?
Thank you, Judge. And on behalf of the entire Missouri Public Service Commission, I would like to welcome you and thank you for being here tonight. This is a very important part of collecting information and hearing from the customers and getting to know better what your thoughts and feelings on this matter are. As the judge said, the court reporter will record your testimony so that it becomes part of the case record. And as part of the case record, I want to reassure you that your comments and testimony here tonight will be an important part of our deliberation in this case. So again, thank you for being here. The entire commission appreciates your effort to come out and let us know your thoughts.
Thank you, Commissioner. At this time, I'm going to ask council present to enter their appearance for the record, starting with Liberty Water.
Diana Carter for Liberty Utilities Missouri Water LLC.
Thank you, Ms. Carter. On behalf of the commission staff.
Casey Aslin for staff.
Thank you, Ms. Aslin. On behalf of the Office of the Public Counsel.
Mark Poston for the Office of Public Counsel.
Thank you, Mr. Poston. And there are a number of interveners in this case. Are any interveners present? I hear and see none. Now, for those who would like to provide comments to the commission today, I'm going to call the names who signed up on this sheet in the order they appear. When I call your name, please come down to the front and adjust the microphone so that you can speak to the commission. At that time, for the record, I'm going to ask that you state and spell your name. I will also swear you in since comments before the commission are taken under oath. I'm going to try, while there aren't an excessive number of people that have signed up to talk tonight, so that everybody who wants to talk can talk, I will probably limit the comments somewhat. So at some point, if you're offering comments and it starts to get repetitive, I may let you know so that you can cede time to somebody else who wants to tell the commission something. Also, after you've made your comments, please stay at the podium for just a second or two. I may have questions for you, one of the commissioners may have questions for you, or any of the attorneys here may have a question for you. They may not, but I want to give them an opportunity to ask if they do have one. And for any commissioners or attorneys who have questions, I'm not going to be asking if there are questions. Just go ahead and chime up and let me know, and I will take time to recognize you, and you can ask your question. Now, the commission and I'm including myself in that today, we can't answer your questions. This is comment hearing. During the Q&A portion, you got a large number of facts from the company about this case. Those are facts which we're not allowed to hear yet. And part of the reason why is because we have to remain impartial until after the evidence is presented for this case at the evidentiary hearing. So if you have questions, I would encourage you to talk to company representatives who are here or the staff or public counsel representatives that are here. I also know that these things can sometimes get a little emotional, so I'm going to ask that you give everybody who is speaking their opportunity to speak and treat them as you would like to be treated. Okay, with that in mind, I will call the first name. Kelly Crouch? I said it right. I was equally surprised.
Good
And,
evening.
and would you state and spell your name for the record?
Yes, my name is Kelly Crouch, and my first name is Kelly. Last name is Krauch.
And Ms. Crouch, do you solemnly swear or affirm that the comments you're about to give to the commission are truthful?
Yes.
And what would you like to tell the commission this evening?
Oh, well, first, thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. The last time I did this was in 2015, so it's been a while. I wanted to just go over some of the facts and information that our subdivision specifically has gone through over the last couple of years and what this rate increase would look like to our small area. So one of the struggles that we had in 2021, we had 6 outages where our well would go down and we would have no water. Sometimes it would be a couple hours, sometimes it could be a couple days. In 2022, we had 4. 2023, we had 4. One was a major outage with multiple days that I know Liberty did work as quickly as they could to get a new pump in, but it was coming from St. Louis, so it was kind of a mess. And then so far in 2021 or 2024, I believe there's been 2 outages. So what I'd like to start kind of going into is based off of the numbers that were proposed from Liberty on Liberty's document, the rate increase that they would be proposing for the sewer, our sewer, would be over 181% of our current rate. And for water, it would be 131% over our current rate. Right now, our average bill is about $72 per month with sewer and water. The average
I'm sorry, did you say $72?
Yes,
Okay, thank you.
yes. The average that Liberty is proposing is approximately $193. That's an additional estimated amount of $121 a month. For Rose, one of our sweet neighbors over here, when we were talking about the cost of what that is, for about $193 would be more than her electric bill. And that's just for sewer and water. I struggle deeply with the sewer and the septic system. I get to work from home. I have an office in my home, so I have been working from home for the last 5 years. During that time, I have had a septic truck come to the house one time, and the only time that was to remove the filter. I have not seen a truck there to pump our tank since 2020 is the last time that I know someone was out to pump our septic system. When I've called to ask, Liberty staff does not know what I'm talking about. They're like, what? What do you mean pump your system? Somebody has to come pump the tank every couple years, make sure we don't have backups. The removal of the filter is also concerning. There's a reason they have the filters within these systems to help avoid clogged.
So they were removing, not replacing the filter?
Correct, they removed all of the filters. One of the gentlemen in our neighborhood at the very end of the road had a septic backup that came into his basement. And we were working with David Spratt on what do we do with this situation. And following that situation with that neighbor, Liberty trucks or a septic truck came out to every household, lifted our tank, because we each have an individual septic tank that then feeds into a leach field, if that makes sense.
Yes.
And so they came in, took the lids off, removed the filter, put the lid on, and left. I was told at one point, I believe it might have been a conversation that David Spratt and I had when he spoke with Liberty trying to figure out when our tanks were pumped, because I couldn't get an answer. And I believe they informed him that my gate was locked when they tried to come. I don't have a lock on my gate. I've never had a lock on my gate. I actually have a very large double panel gate to make sure that the septic truck could get back there in the event we ever needed that to happen. Additionally, I'm home all the time because I work from home. So through my research, I pulled the docket and a lot of the documents from the docket for this particular case to see what the basis was for the request for the increase. In one of the documents that was filed in one of the initial earlier cases that was then combined was a 2023 Asset Management and Capital Improvement Plan by Liberty. This plan outlines what they want to do, what they have done with each of our properties, from putting in the generators to the amounts budgeted. What I'm struggling with is on page 6, 7, and 8 of this document, it lists that the amount budgeted for repairs was $16.82 million. The amount spent on repairs was $5.6 million, leaving what I would consider a surplus of $11.2 million. Where's that $11.2 million? And what we're talking about increasing a rate at 180% when there's $11.2 million that wasn't used. In March of 2022, DNR opened, or PSC, one of you guys, opened up an investigation into Liberty due to a multitude of issues. That is its own separate document. I could spend hours up here, which I know you don't have time to do, and I'm sure you have access to it, but this document was incredibly concerning.
Is that also in the case file?
Yes, the file number on this order or staff report is WO20220253. So from this document and from the document of their plan, I was able to look and see, according to this report, Liberty has 12,600 customers, approximately. Of that, 40 households is what our subdivision is in comparison to the 12,600. So it's less than 1%. It's actually less than 0.5% of 12,600. And compared to, say, Bolivar, which has 4,600 customers, that's 40%. So to ask our subdivision and our smaller area to pay the same dollar amount doesn't seem reasonable. We're gonna have less wear and tear. We have less people using facilities. So that would generally not be, we shouldn't have to pay for, I understand the basis behind it, but it's very much a struggle when we're talking about 181%. That's a week's worth of groceries for some families, and we have quite a few families in our area who do not have a great income. They might live in a trailer. That kind of money would be detrimental to a lot of these families. One of the struggles that I found while reviewing the documentation was we have in Valley Woods 4,100 feet of main line with 4 pumps and 6,200 feet of sewer line. Bolivar, for example, has 500,000 feet of main line, 24 pumps, and 400,000 sewer line. My opinion, but I feel like there would be more of a pro rata potentially if there's this much cost. There should be allocations as to what those values are, if that's an option, because the difference is catastrophic compared to what we have for line and what it would take to replace our lines versus what it would take to replace the city of Oliver. There is land that is in our subdivision, 2.1 acres, that is known as green space, that is owned by Liberty. Until this evening, I don't believe they were aware that they were the owners. We pulled the documentation from Christian County, from the GIS maps, from the tax records, and they are the owners. There has been no maintenance to that land ever by Liberty except for one walkway or driveway area that they use. So 2.1 acres, it's a lot of land, a lot of grass, a lot of trees, and a lot of critters is the best way I can describe that. I don't like snakes. There's a lot of them. When it's not maintained, those critters get over there. We have a lot of farms near us, and then they start to come up into our homes and they start to come up into our properties. So a couple of our neighbors, Brian and Jason and some of the other people, have taken it upon themselves to mow it all the time so that it is maintained. There's also picnic tables down there. So at one point, I believe prior to Liberty acquiring the property, it was used as a park area. So families and kids still sometimes go down there. I know it's a great place to go sled riding. There's safety concerns with it not being taken care of, or even with one of our people taking care of it. If something happens and they get hurt, who does that fall on if there's something that goes wrong? Billing issues. I have with me, if you would like to see them, bills that have been a disaster, to say the least. On June 5th, I received a bill when I believe Liberty switched over to their new billing system, and that bill charged me a meter size of 1 inch at a flat rate for the sewer of $126.47. My rate has been $42 for quite some time. So I said, whoa, what is this? Contacted Liberty. The gentleman I spoke to was very kind, but he couldn't help me. He said, I don't know, I have to escalate this. I will find out and somebody will get back to you within a week. I said, oh, well, this bill is coming due. If I don't pay it, they're gonna shut me off and I can't have that. I need to have access. He said there was nothing he could do and that I just had to hope they got back to me sooner. Couple of days later, I received another bill for the exact same billing cycle. This one charged me a meter at 5/8 with a flat rate of $50.59. Better, but still wrong. Again, same exact billing cycle from March 25th, 2024 through April 25th, 2024. So 2 bills received within a very short time, within days. The next month, I received a bill. They increased my meter again to 1 inch and billed me, this time, $105.39 just for the sewer. So at this point, I contacted David Spratt because I was getting nowhere with calling customer service. Everyone I spoke to was kind, they just couldn't do anything. It had to be escalated up to someone, but I could never speak to the person that it was supposed to be escalated to. So I contacted Mr. Spratt, talked to him, told him what was going on. He jumped on it, got involved, and was able to do whatever he did magically, and they finally fixed my bill. So the next 2 bills were correct, but as of today, I have not received a bill for this month. The bills are due approximately the 25th, which would be today. But even online, it shows my balance is 0. So I don't have a bill for the last 30 days that has been paid. It doesn't show that I have a bill. One of the other neighbors had called to see what was going on, and they said, oh, we don't know, we're having billing problems. Be prepared to pay 2 bills next month. That's brutal, especially when you are living on a budget and you're trying to figure out how to make it work. The first time that I did call, the gentleman that I spoke with struggled with believing that I didn't change my meter size, or he said, well, you have you have the meter line in, right? I said, no, I haven't changed the lines. I promise I haven't dug up my yard. It is exactly as it has been since I moved here in 2012.
And I hate to rush you along, but I do want to give other people an opportunity to speak as well.
Sure, yeah, I'm almost done. Last page here. So the big concern that I have is that in the document, the second document that I presented to you, it discusses their billing issues. It discusses the fact that they're charging for water pumped versus, and the gallons not matching the amounts that have been pumped.
And that's the 0253 case you mentioned?
That is, yes.
Thank you.
Yes. So within that, the amount that they're charging people is more than the amount that is showing that was pumped. It's impossible for me to know how they got to this point where they said, we need to file a rate increase, when the billing systems, the amount that they have, it's not trusted right now. It can't be trusted. So how can, the struggle is how we can be charged for the negligent billing and the negligent financial structure and how they're doing it. Their own data is wrong. And I will wrap it up at that.
Okay.
I have a lot more, but I won't do it.
Mr. Crouch, thank you for your comments. I got one quick question for you, and it kind of goes back to something you said at the very beginning when you were going over the outages. You said 6 in 21, 4 in 22, 4 in 23, and 2 this year so far to date. One of those you indicated was a multi-day outage, I believe, in '23. Did you ever find out what the outages were about? I know, one, you said that they were waiting on a pump to arrive. How did you find out what the cause of the outages were?
So the only reason we know about the pump is because Rose and James live next door to the well house. And so when someone came out to look at it, or Brian would go over there and say, hey, what's going on? We were never communicated with by customer service. We couldn't even actually get anybody on the phone because it was a weekend. So that happened on a Saturday. We were out of water all day Saturday till very late in the evening, I believe Sunday and or Monday.
Did Liberty do anything to mitigate that, such as bottled water?
No. And when we don't have water, we can't flush our toilets. So we were bringing in water from some farms down the road. I had a friend who has a farm, and they brought me buckets so we could flush our toilets, because that was the only way we could do it. Can't bathe, obviously, because you have no water, cook. But no, Liberty is, while these folks seem super kind and they've been wonderful tonight, the structural system, when you try to reach someone, we don't get local people, or if they are local, they're maybe in Joplin. And they don't know where we live or who we are. They don't get to see our face, so it feels like we're not a priority. We're small, we're only 40 customers out of 12,600, so the rate increase feels predatory. I can't imagine anybody who could say, sure, let's pay 181% more, and expect that somebody wouldn't be flabbergasted by that amount. So,
Well, thank you very much for your comments. I appreciate that.
thank you for having me.
Brian Corbin? And Mr. Corbin, would you please state and spell your name for the record?
My name is Brian, B-R-I-A-N. Last name is Corbin, C-O-R-B-A-N.
And if you'll raise your right hand to be sworn. Do you swear or affirm that the comments you're about to give today at this local public hearing are the truth?
Yes, I do.
Okay, please go ahead.
I'll be brief. Thank you for seeing us and the other folks here in the audience. During the question and answer session, we addressed the green space area, the 2.15 acres that Liberty was unaware that they had owned. At this point, all I ask is that what you had addressed to me as to the remedy that you plan on taking forward, just be restated for the record. Is that a fair enough question to ask?
Well, this is a local public hearing to take comments from the public. It's not evidentiary in the manner that you mean. In other words, it sounds like what you're wanting Liberty to do is to read a commitment back onto the record. And that's unfortunately not what they're here for today. I'm here to
Okay.
take public comment. I mean, if you want to tell me what your understanding of it is, that's fine, but I'm not
Okay.
going to ask, I'm not going to make a Liberty comment at this time.
My understanding of this 2.15 acres is that Liberty was, number one, not aware that they owned it, even according to the Christian County tax records that, they pay it every year. Also that they have acknowledged that they did not own it, that they were unaware that they owned it, and that they did plan to take steps to remedy that to where that area would be maintained. As Ms. Crouch had talked about, people that use that park needs to be maintained. We recently went down and cut down 2 dead trees for the simple fact that had we not, at some point, those trees could have fallen. Whether they fell and made no noise or whether they fell and hit somebody, nobody in the subdivision wants that to happen, whether it be a child or an adult or hit somebody's vehicle. You know, and taking that into consideration, it kind of takes the liability off of Liberty. So at this time, I don't really have anything else to address or say.
And I believe Ms. Crouch also said that some of the neighbors were mowing the space, is that correct?
That's correct. Myself and another small handful, 5 or 6, pitch in to help trim, maintain by mowing the area, you know, with the use of our own equipment, our own money, time, gas, whatever it takes to be able to maintain that area and keep it a safe area, you know, for people in the subdivision that do want to go down there and utilize that area.
Mr. Corbin, thank you very much for your comments.
All right, thank you.
George Cam? Is there a George Cam present? Oh. Mr. Cam, would you please state and spell your name for the record?
George Cam, George Kamm.
And would you raise your right hand to be sworn? Do you swear or affirm that the comments you're about to give at this local public hearing are the truth?
I do.
Please go ahead.
Some of the issues that we have have already been expressed about the upkeep and that type thing of the properties and stuff. I did talk to Mr. Bruce Robinson, who is the manager from Liberty, and he's agreed to come and look at our situation. We live at Holiday Hills, and they've owned the property, or they've taken service since about 2018, but we have had our roads resurfaced, and now the repairs that they've done, which are approximately 7 of them, are quite unsubstantial as far as putting the roads back to the same quality that they were before the leaks appeared. In front of our house, there was a leak that we had for about 3.5 weeks a year ago. And I called twice with no response, and finally somebody showed up, and it has really made a mess of the road. I also have talked with Mr. Eric Larson, who's with Liberty, and he explained to me that I had a great difference between the water rates that Liberty had sent out to the public versus what the state commission the Public Service Commission had made up, and he explained to me that they were trying to make a level field for everybody. So my numbers don't jive with anything that I had prepared. What we got from Liberty about 2 weeks ago looked like our rates at Holiday Hills were going to be substantially greater than anybody else's, which according to the document that I have here, it doesn't seem to be that way. He also explained to me that once the commission's made a decision, that there's no repercussion, that we can't come back and make any other argument, which I would like to have some input from, I guess, from the commission before a decision is made, so that we could at least evaluate it as a group, meaning the group meaning all the service people for Liberty Water, or the customers for Liberty Water. That's all I have to say.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Cam. As I said, we're not here to answer questions today. I will tell you that the way that this generally runs is that the company files a rate case, then the parties engage in what's called discovery, whereby they request information for each other, and then there's an evidentiary hearing, and after the evidentiary hearing, the commission will make a decision based on the evidence that is presented. It's these local public hearings where we get to hear from the public, so there's no point at which the public looks at Liberty's requests and votes or approves or anything. That's decided by the commission after an evidentiary hearing, or if there is or if the parties are able to reach an agreement.
Okay. The only other thing that I would add is that a lot of us are retired and on fixed incomes, and I'd like to have that not only in Holiday Hills, but all of their customers across the board. These rate increases, some of them are as high as 180%. It's going to put a real burden on somebody that's on a fixed income with limited sources of income.
Yeah.
So I would like the commission to take that into consideration also.
And what you're telling me is that if you're retired, if you no longer have any income coming in that's not Social Security or pension or something like that, there's no way to absorb a rate increase.
Well, the only thing that you would have is our 2.1% increase in our Social Security, which everybody's after. So that soon disappears. On a fixed income, where those are the only two things that you have is income, it does make it very difficult to budget for that extra increase.
And that's been said at other local public hearings on this case, and I will note it for this one. Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for your comments, Mr. Cam. Larry, is it Carter? Kathy. Larry Kathy. Black girl. And Mr. Kathy, would you state and spell your name for the record?
Larry Cathy, L-A-R-Y, C-A-T-H-E-Y.
And would you raise your right hand to be sworn? Do you swear or affirm that the comments you're about to give at this local public hearing are the truth?
Yes.
Go ahead, please.
Most of what I was going to say I can't say because of the comment you made, so I'm going to condense it. I represent 62 families that's on the well that they're wanting to increase. Of those 62 families, half are retirees on fixed income. 8 are medically retired and on fixed income. This increase is absurd. Now, I know they need to recoup money, and the state has said they can, but not at this rate. This is stupid. It's stupid for the people, and it's also stupid for the state. Part of this request, I've got a list of all the things they addressed that would help the customer. There's 6 things on this list on their website. 5 of those help the company, don't help the customer at all. It saves them money, it saves them time. Does that come back to the customer? No, they want an increase. That's not fair. Not to the 12,000 people, not to the 62 families that's on my well.
What are the 5 things that you believe benefit Liberty but not the
There's a
company?
whole list, and I don't want to go into them.
Okay.
And it's public knowledge. I mean, they're wanting to put in meters that can be monitored at their office. Great. That saves them money because they don't have to have somebody come out and be on salary to read them. They don't have to pay for the gas, the vehicle. That saves them money. But it saves the customer money? No. It gets us an increase because they want to put them in. Again, stupid. I'm fine with what I've got. All I'm asking for is quality water and it to be distributed. They don't have to pay the state for the product that they sell, so that he speaks. He sells a product. That product already belongs to this state and these people. He's just providing the distribution and checking the quality every once in a while. Now, I've got no problem with our well. We have a fantastic crew that work on it. I know most of them personally. I don't need to apologize to Steve because I scared the crap out of him the other day. We had an outage and it was at a bad time.
Do you have frequent outages?
No. No, we don't. The, the well was part of a subdivision that was built by Tommy Ballou, who is the assessor for Christian County. He was also a Baptist minister. He built a good system. His son took it over when Tommy died. Both of them have a degenerative eye problem. Jamie's almost blind. He's also a pastor. So they sold it to Water Technologies. Water Technologies sold it to Liberty. We've never had a whole lot of problems. The outage was due to a pump. Pump's 18 years old. 20 years, didn't make it. Okay. They put it in as fast as they could. They had to put it in the plan. The first pump didn't fit. They had to go get another one. They got it done as quick as they could. They provided everybody in water. They come around with cases of water. And so we got no problem with that. We got a problem with this much raise is what we got a problem with. I would recommend you look at what New York did with their request. They cut it by 56% and prorated over a 3-year period. They said all at
You said
once.
New York?
Yes. They cut it by 56% and prorated over a three-year period. I've done a lot of research too, not just on your website, on a lot of websites. I've got some other information, but like I said, I can't state it. I'm just saying that the 62 families that we're on, it's not going to affect me that much. I'm retired military. Both my wife and I are retired. I've had two companies. I was in the Army 29 years. I'm okay monetarily. But I got some people I'm probably going to have to help pay. This is absurd requests.
And you said of your 62 neighbors, about half of them
Yes.
are on a retired or on a fixed income?
Yes, and 8 of them are medically retired. 2 of them are, I guess you'd call it wheelchair bound. Can't move without being in a wheelchair.
Mr. Cathy, thank you for your comments.
Thank you. Are you through with me?
I'm sorry?
Are you through with me?
I don't have any further questions,
I've got to get home.
but I appreciate you staying in case I did. Is there Jason Simmons? Good evening,
Name's
Mr.
Jason. Sorry, go ahead.
You are doing what I was going to ask you to do anyway. Go ahead.
Jason Simmons, Jasonsimons.
And do you solemnly swear or affirm that the comments you're about to give at this local public hearing are the truth?
Absolutely.
Okay, please go ahead.
Sure. I've been a resident of the Valleywood subdivision for 19 years now. My wife and I have lived out there for quite some time. When we initially purchased our home back in the day, one of the biggest things is we looked at was our utilities, what it was going to cost, because we were basically, our income wasn't the greatest, so we had to look at everything. Plus we had issues with our children that we had to go to, so we had to go to hospitals, this kind of stuff. So it was very huge for us. Now, 19 years later, I'm a real estate agent myself. I work here in Branson, Missouri, and I'm active with that. And this type of stuff affects a lot of people. Not only does it affect people, but it affects the property value of the people. I believe that there may be work that needs to be done, that kind of stuff. But since I've lived there for 19 years, not one pipe has been ripped up, new piping. No meters have been in place that I remember. The baffles, they have been taken out. The filters have been taken out of our septic tank, and that's basically to extend the life of them having to get somebody to come over there and pump out our tank, because the gray water just comes out the top and goes down to the sewer treatment plant. The sewer treatment plant, every time you go down there, smells horrible. I don't know what's going on with it. You barely ever see anybody down there unless it's a truck just coming down real quick, going down to their well house and shooting back out. The property, go ahead.
Would you, I'm not sure I understand, and I apologize for
No
that.
problem.
When you say runs downhill to the treatment plant,
Yes, sir.
can you give me a clearer idea of what you mean?
So basically, the way that the property was developed, you have first and second phase, I believe. I don't know if there was a third phase. I think it was the second, might have been third on the backside. We sit up more up at the top of the hill. Everything, the way that I understand it, comes down and drains through into a pipe and comes down underneath, back under everybody's property, and there is a sewer treatment plant back off to the right-hand corner of the development. That was supposedly be for the water, the gray water, for that to run off and for that treatment plant to be taken care of. And I don't know what they do with the water. I don't know where it goes, but every time you go down there, it just smells horrible, which is, you know, a parent of something like that. As far as that's concerned, you're gonna have smells and everything else. The biggest issue is that the baffles were taken out of the septic tanks. I don't know what kind of damage that has caused to our septic tanks, if any, I don't know. Haven't had it inspected, thought about getting inspected. But those are there in place for a reason. It's not to basically prolong the time period of how long it takes for them to come out and to pump our tank to get, you know, that's what we pay for. It's a service that we pay for. The biggest thing I think too is the lady that came down earlier before you guys came in. She's a Marion Woods lady, you know, we're talking about people with fixed incomes, things of that nature, people that are medical, retired. This is predatory, 180% as far as an inflation. I can see some inflation, but I like to see the inflation in something done in order to have that inflation in place. I don't feel that they take care of our system the way that it should. There's multiple families that live in our community, in our area, in our neighborhood. And we went through all of our storage water that we had backed up in case something were to happen so we can flush our toilets, as many other people did too, while we were waiting for the service. Since I've been there, our water quality has just really gone to, what's the best word I can say? Downhill. The taste of the water when I first moved there was pretty decent well water. It was good. Lance Harris was really on top of everything because he didn't want to put chlorine into our system, because once you do that, you kind of have to stick with the chlorine. When I take a shower and get out of the shower, I feel like I just jumped out of a pool. I stink, my body smells like chlorine. I can smell the chlorine coming from my skin. I don't feel that that's safe for people, for children. If you look into it, chlorine, you know, is definitely, it affects people, it affects their health. But the biggest thing here is, you know, not going out and getting new gizmos and gadgets to make their job easier. You know, it's to provide a service for the community, of the people, and for us to pay for that service and to feel good about paying for that service. I don't feel good about paying for the service because the service isn't working as it should. So we have a break in the system somewhere. It sounds like people are trying to make it all work. That's usually how it always sounds. Everybody sounds great, but where's the follow through? That's what I want to see. Where's the follow through? So my biggest thing is the people that are on fixed incomes, the people that can't speak for themselves, for the children, for the families, things of that nature. Our water quality, I think, is huge. During all that, nobody came out and gave anybody water. Somebody else said that they did, and that's awesome. Good job. I mean, at least they got some water. We didn't get anything, you know. We had a second house. We were lucky. We were fortunate. We can go down there and get water and bring it back up to our other home so we can flush our toilets and do the different stuff that we have to, and boil and cook and that kind of stuff. But for other people, they don't have it like that. So my biggest thing is, if there's going to be a price, you know, hike as far as that's concerned, let's see what it is, let's see what it's about, and let's see if it's really worth, you know, the price hike of what they're talking, because the 180%, that's predatory. And this almost feels like a slumlord type situation that we're working with right now with our utility company. And to have that kind of a price hike, it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to me. I'm sure it doesn't make sense to any of you up here on the board. If there was something major, that might be a different story, but we don't see it. We haven't seen anything major. We haven't seen the effects as far as what they're talking about. Our bill, we haven't had a bill for 2 months. Our bill's been through the roof. My wife takes care of everything. I basically bring the check home. She does too, but she takes care of all the bills. And she's been dealing with a lot of that. Kelly made a great point as far as the bills. There was so much stuff. She said it well, and I wish she could have been up here a little bit longer to talk because she's got her stuff together. So as far as that's concerned, our bills have been all over the place. And like I said, we haven't received a bill for 2 months. So who knows what this bill is going to be? But there was one bill, I believe, for over $300 at one point. And it didn't make sense to me at all. My wife tried calling. It didn't make sense to the people on the other side of the phone. They didn't know what was going on either. They were passing her around. She's busy. She don't have time during the day to be talking and going through this stuff and back and forth. The only answer that we got out of it was basically they're changing their system, and because they're changing our system, everybody else has to change in order to change with their system. Well, I'm sorry, their system's broke and it needs help. It's not working. It's not working for us. It's not working for a lot of the other people. And 180%, price inflation, or excuse me, a price increase as far as that's concerned just doesn't make sense to me as well. I don't think it makes sense to anybody else in this room. And if it does make any sense to anybody else in this room, I'd like to hear about it because it don't make sense to me. So again, thank you for your time. And that's all I have to say.
Okay, I do have one quick
Sure.
question for you. Because I heard from Ms. Crouch that the baffles were removed as well. How
Yes,
long
sir.
ago were they removed?
Oh, geez. My memory's not the greatest, but I'll do the best that I can. I believe those were removed 2.5, 3 years ago. I believe so. Yeah. 22, I guess. I'd go with her, not me. She's got it together.
Well, you're the one testifying.
Well, I'm doing the best that I can, but that's about right. We all live in the same area, so I believe that's correct.
Well, you're doing very. The commissioner has a question for you.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Sims, thank you for the information in your comments. It's very helpful. I'm trying to visualize how the wastewater collection and treatment system
Yes, sir.
is actually put together. And I think what I understand is you have a septic tank that provides some preliminary treatment. Effluent from that septic tank then flows by gravity to some sort of central treatment system. Is that generally right?
Not really, no. Basically, you have a septic system. Your septic, you have leach lines, laterals that will come out, and usually typically in your yard. In this case, we don't have that. So there's a distribution box where it comes in, and then it goes to a septic, which goes through the baffle, or excuse me, not the baffle. Yeah, I believe it is the baffles, into the filter, and goes down through into the tank. And those filters, they look like when you pull them out, they're just a bunch of balls. And they're about this tall. And I've seen them do it. I've seen them pull them out and said, you don't need that.
Mm-hmm.
And they put it in the car and they took off. But the gray water that comes off of that, because we don't have those leach lines, that all goes into a main, as I understand it, to where everybody in the neighborhood, all that gray water goes into that. All the solids sit into the tank. The gray water is then gone down to the treatment plant, and then there's a treatment plant at the very end. It's quite an enormous size treatment plant, but I've never seen anybody down there at that treatment plant. Not once have I seen anybody at that treatment plant. So I'm not sure really where it goes, if that treatment plant is actually taken care of, or if that water is trickled into the neighboring. I really don't know because I haven't been in there, so I don't know what it looks like, but I'm curious to see what they do with that water, how that's taken care of, because I haven't seen anything that's been done with it. So we're all supposed to get our septic tanks pumped, and my understanding is every 3 years, depending on how it's taken care of. I think we might have had our tank pumped maybe 3 times through the whole 19 years that we've been there, and we've actually done it ourselves. Pumped it ourselves and pumped the tanks. So that's how I understand how the sewer system works. And to answer your question, hopefully I did.
Okay. And just so I understand a little more of the logistics.
Sure.
The tank's on your property, you own
Yes,
the
sir.
tank,
Yes, sir.
but
Each-
Liberty is charged with maintaining that tank from time to time.
That's how we pay for it. Yes, sir, that's correct. So each property out there, and there's quite a few, Kelly gave the number, I don't remember exactly what it was, but there's quite a few properties out there, and each property individually has their own septic tank, and they're all fed in to that line that goes down to the treatment center. And then their responsibility, Liberty Utilities' responsibility, is to pump that tank and to take care of that tank, because they're responsible for the tank, is how I understand it, with what we pay for them. But we haven't seen that, other than the baffles taken out.
Okay. And your understanding is the tank is supposed to be pumped every 3 years, but that's not happening?
That, yes, sir, that's correct. Now, I believe our tank, well, I say that, I don't know if they pumped our tank or if they pulled the baffles out, because that, I meant the baffles, but the filter, that's what I remember when they were in the backyard. They fixed the lid, because I had damage on the lid, and the filters were taken out, and they put the lid back on and fixed the lid.
Thank you, that helps me.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Simmons. Tom and Cheryl Lovato.
I'm Tom, this is my wife Cheryl, and we have no comments to make. Most of them have already been answered, or questions have been done by our neighbors. Thank you all very much.
Thank you very much. That's the last name I have on the list here. Is there anybody who wanted to speak who was unable to sign up? Yes, ma'am, come on down. And would you please state and spell your name for the court reporter?
Yeah, my name is Caitlin Sullivan, K-A-T-E-L-Y-N, and then S-U-L-L-I-V-A-N.
And would you raise your right hand to be sworn? Do you swear or affirm that the comments you're about to give at this local public hearing are the truth?
Yes.
Okay, and what would you like to tell the commission?
I would just, on the billing, when they switched over trying to, like, their customer service and registering it back, I could not get an account number because they had changed their account number. I could not get it from even their customer service. They're like, you have to wait for your bill to come in. We hadn't had a bill for, I think, almost 6 weeks to 2 months on that point. And then about 5 days later, I got a disconnection notice.
So, I'm sorry.
Oh, you're fine.
So you received no bill, but you received a disconnection notice?
Correct. The receipt did not show a balance or anything on their system when they were switching over, and then we received a disconnection notice 5 days later.
Okay, did you contact Liberty?
Yes.
Do you want to tell me about that?
So I contacted them and was told that it needed to be paid, that bill was past due, and I'm like, we haven't received anything. The online account hadn't shown anything, and we didn't have like a printout sent out. So we get one usually every month around the 5th or 6th it's stated for the 1st, it's for 30 days. Usually it's due on September, the 25th, 26th. So had that issue again in August, had not received August bill. It finally came in about a week after it usually does, was able to pay it. And then for September, I called September 17th because we had not received the bill for this month and was told that I should expect to pay double next month and that it was going to be forwarded on to a supervisor and part of their billing. And then when I asked to speak to said supervisor, I was told that they were unavailable. And I would get a call back in about a week or so. I still have yet to get a call.
So your situation is still ongoing?
Yes.
Now you understand that if you don't, if you're unable to reach a satisfactory solution with Liberty, you can file a complaint with the commission.
Yes.
Did you have other comments?
Yes.
Please go ahead.
On the boil advisories, usually we just have like someone will come and set out a sign we have had 5 outages, multiple outages, but at least 5 last year, and I believe 1 or 2 this year on there. Literally, it's just a sign. We don't get any door notices or anything on ours. It is just a sign entering the neighborhood. Like, you don't see them like on other areas that are service. It's just entering our road. Because our well and services about 40 households around there.
Is this a big sign, or?
Yeah, it's like on the road, like just like one of the fold out signs.
Okay.
That's put on there. So that is all.
About how frequently do you have a boil order, and do you know what the cause of those boil orders are?
I believe we, going off of memory, at least 2 or 3 last year with our pump issue, especially when we had the multiple day outage where we weren't provided any water or anything. So I was literally running to the store. I have 2 small kids. They, go through a lot of water and everything else. That was coming out of my budget. I live in a 6-person household. Water goes through quite fast. So.
And the only notice you got for the boil order is a sign
Yeah.
on the road?
Yeah, it says boil advisory
Okay.
on it.
Okay.
No, like as per their paper here, it says understanding boil advisories that they will put, direct you by phone, post a sign in your neighborhood, or place a door hanger. It just has boil advisory, lets us know. It doesn't tell us for how long or anything else. It just has the boil advisory on it. At least what you can see, unless you step out and literally walk to the sign.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments, Ms. Sullivan.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who wanted to sign up to speak and was unable to? Okay, I see and hear no one.
Again, the entire commission would like to thank you for your time and effort and coming out to share your thoughts and comments with us. And we really appreciate it. This is one of the few chances that we get to hear from the public to come to a better understanding of what your thoughts and opinions are. And it's important because it helps us to make more fair and balanced decisions as we move forward. So your efforts are very much appreciated. So thank you again, and have a good evening.
Thank you, Judge.
Now, I'm just going to say quickly, because I know a lot of you, it's late and you're anxious to get home, but I know that some of you mentioned that you knew people that couldn't be here today or couldn't attend one of the hearings. That doesn't preclude friends and neighbors from offering comments. If you know someone who is unable to attend, they can still offer comments on this case by contacting the PSC. There's an email address, PSC, that stands for Public Service Commission, PSC at PSCinfo@psc.mo.gov. By contacting the Office of the Public Counsel, and Mr. Poston down here to my left represents the Public Counsel, and they've been very gracious about helping people file comments with the commission. Or you can go to the Public Service Commission's webpage, and there is a link there to offer comments. That may be the easiest way. If you do that, it may ask you, because there are a number of cases at any time before the commission, it may ask you for the case number. The case number for this one, again, is WR-2024-0104. And again, I would like to thank everybody who took the time to come in and offer comments today. So I would like to thank you for participation, and have a safe drive home. And we'll go off the record. This hearing is now adjourned.